Hi, my name is Eloise. I am a consultant here with the Profs. I specialise in law admissions, so I've helped hundreds of students get into the university of their choice for law. And today I'm going to be talking about the law degree specifically and how you can achieve a first-class result. I went to Cambridge for law, I achieved a first-class result, and so I'm going to be drawing on my own experience, plus a lot of other resources that are out there. So we'll start off with a little bit of an intro about the first-class degree and what that means within the UK system. Within the UK university system, there are 4 main classifications for your degree. First-class honours, considered to be the best result. Upper second-class honours, or otherwise known as a 2-1. Lower second-class honours, otherwise known as a 2-2, or a third-class degree. Some universities will also award an additional qualification for a starred first or a triple first or a double first. This really does depend on the university. In the UK, law is considered to be one of the most challenging degrees, and statistics on who gets a first vary a little bit, but they're somewhere between 14 to 21%, depending on which studies you look at. So it's a low percentage of people who are studying law that do achieve a first-class result. And finally, just by way of introduction, it's important to note that university study is a different nature of study than you will experience at school or in your previous education. University study is very independently led. It really draws on your own motivation for studying. It requires you to go over and above the set syllabus and the set text that you're given to really understand the subject. And I believe it personally requires some level of genuine passion about the subject in order to get an extremely good result. So I'm going to talk you through different components that I believe will help you on the way to a first-class degree. But obviously this is not an exhaustive list, and the best thing to do when you're thinking about how to achieve a first-class degree is to look within the context of your university system. So talk to your tutors, talk to your professors, talk to the people who are able to help you with the specific nature of your course. So the first thing, and I'm sure many of you who are already studying or thinking about studying will of course do this, but the first thing is attendance of the things that are required of you to achieve your degree status. So this could be things like lectures, courses, clubs, or tutorials, meetings with your professors, small groups, supervisions, or seminars. Whatever is scheduled for you to attend, it is extremely important that you attend it. And this is the case even if your degree is not dependent on an attendance rate at lectures or supervisions or anything. This is the case even if your degree is not graded on your attendance at, for example, lectures or in seminars. And this is because the information that is given within these contexts often forms the foundation of your learning for however you'll be assessed in your degree. It's my experience also that within these lectures or places where you're able to hear from your professors or your tutors directly, you're actually given more information and more specific information that you would find in a textbook or if you were just trying to do your independent learning on your own. And finally, on this point, it's just so important to note that this really is the main component of what you pay for at university, is this kind of in-person tuition and the opportunity to really hear from your professors and your tutors and your colleagues and your peers directly. And so it's not exactly the same if you could just do your entire degree learning from a book on your own. You wouldn't have exactly the same quality of learning. So attendance, really important. The second point is keeping up with assignments and coursework. Now, some university degrees will require coursework as a component of the degree, and for some you have a choice. So I know for my law degree, there was an option whether to do final exams and have your degree assessed that way fully, or to do some components of coursework or a dissertation and then have some components through exams. So it really does depend on your university. So my recommendation would be to make sure as soon as you get to university that you're clear on what is required of you, what your coursework goes towards, what percentage of your mark goes towards your coursework versus your exams. Get a really good sense of the structure of your degree and then keep up with all of those assignments and coursework. Remember that the university is essentially on your side in terms of your success. So they want you to get a first as much as you do. So it's really important that if you feel like you're falling behind, for example, if you had a period of illness or something happened in your studies that kind of disrupted your flow, it's really important that you speak to someone about it because they often will be able to help you get back on track. The third point is to understand fully your mark scheme or assessment guidelines. I think this is really such an important component of independent learning because it gives you the autonomy to say, I'm going to understand exactly how this is assessed, and then I'm going to structure my learning in a way that responds to those guidelines. So your guidelines will be published somewhere, your mark scheme or the way that you're assessed, the things that people are looking for when you're writing your exams or your coursework. make sure you get hold of those mark schemes or guidance, go through them, see what skills are being required, and then see how you can match up your writing or your work to the exact mark scheme requirements. If you're not sure how to interpret your mark scheme, or if it's confusing, sometimes they can be written in quite a broad or vague or kind of overarching way. The best thing is to take it to your professor or the person who's responsible for your overall academic learning and work through it with them. And again, remember, they are on your side. They want you to succeed as much as you do. So it's really important that you see it almost like as a collaboration. The fourth point really relates to passion and interest, and I personally believe this is something that is essential to high performance in pretty much anything in life, but especially for your degree context. And so the fourth point is reading beyond your set curriculum or going beyond requirements to really understand your subject. Now, you might feel like this is an additional requirement that is quite stressful, and obviously focus on your main components of your course first. But really what this is about is developing a personal interest in the course that will not only elevate your understanding, but will also take you into that first class territory. Quite often when you're given a reading list in the context of your degree, you will be given set text to read plus recommended reading. And your professors will probably tell you that you don't always need to do all of the recommended reading to pass or to have a good outcome in your degree. But that if you have an interest and a passion in the subject, doing the recommended reading is one of the things that you can demonstrate in your exams or your coursework to show that you've gone above and beyond in understanding and developing an interest in your subject. Remember also that your interest in the subject or your extensive reading, the reading that you do beyond your set curriculum, doesn't necessarily just have to be from textbooks or learning in more traditional ways that you might do for your set texts. You can also deepen your knowledge through webinars, lectures, podcasts, presentations, or other ways that you can explore the subject. Fifth point is about feedback. And if you look at any studies or data on high performance, one of the key things they talk about is having regular feedback to keep you on course, and essentially having a mentor or a coach or a supervisor who is able to tell you exactly where you're going wrong and so how you can correct it as you go forwards. In the university context, you will actually be given lots of opportunities to get feedback, which you should absolutely make the most of. And again, coming back to that cost-benefit analysis of university, whether you want to invest in your education in this way, this is one of the things that you will essentially be paying for, the opportunity to have your work reviewed and criticised appropriately by the person who is giving you feedback. And this will essentially help you to elevate your learning and deepen your understanding. So obviously you will get an opportunity to get your grades back from assignments or mocks that you do, but you can also go a little bit further and really ask your professors how you could have done better if the feedback isn't clear, or if you want more feedback on something. Do feel free to ask, because those people often will have more thoughts and they will have time to help you elevate your learning and achieve better results in the future. And you could also, if it's possible, to have a mentor or someone who's overseeing your academic development. That doesn't have to be someone specifically attached to your subject, but just someone who is helping you improve in general. Universities often have mentoring schemes, so that doesn't need to be a professor. It could be someone in a few years higher than you who's already been through the process. Or if you have your own mentor outside of university, someone who's helping you stay on track and help you achieve your goals. The sixth point is exam preparation and technique. And this is something that some people don't find that difficult. Some people don't mind the assessment format of an exam. And other people, even if they have a lot of information and materials in their mind, they find the exam context extremely intimidating and stressful. So if you know that's you, if you don't like exams, if you know you don't do well under that kind of immediate pressure, it's worth working on your exam technique and your preparation way before you actually have to take your university exams. This is especially important in the degree context, because although it will depend on your degree and your university, a lot of UK universities will use the exam format to assess a significantly high proportion of your degree. There are lots of different ways that you can improve your exam technique, so it's definitely worth looking up some specific advice around whatever you struggle with, if that's time management, the stress, the anxiety, the nerves on the day, things like that. There are lots of different ways to manage your time, to manage your mental health, to manage your well-being. But one of the most important things you can do when it comes to exam preparation is past papers and mocks, and essentially giving yourself an opportunity to run through that exam format many times before you actually have to do it on the day. Past papers should be made available to you by your university or by the relevant professor in each module. But if they're not, or if you don't know where to find a past paper, it's definitely worth reaching out quite early on in your degree if you can. But if they're not made available to you, it's definitely worth reaching out quite early on in your degree if you can, so you really get a sense of how the exams are formatted and you can get more comfortable with them over time. If you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe. Please share with any friends that might be studying law or thinking about studying law. If you have any questions or comments or things you would like to add to this list, please drop them in the comment section below and we will take a look. And if you're currently studying law or thinking about studying law and you would benefit from some support or guidance or assistance in the process, we can absolutely help. Here at The Profs, we have a team of extremely experienced consultants and tutors who can help you with your law degree modules or achieving your first. So please do get in touch using the information on screen now. And as always, best of luck in your degree.